So at Carnegie Mellon University, subverting the dominant paradigm refers to re-anointing the East Asian Coast Prosperity Zone theorems of the Axis. When it comes to the sacrificialism that they're using me for as a protege of FDR and Kennedy's liberalism, for which I play a demonic role as a manufacturer from the Hollywood talking box, as much anathema to Spike Lee and his spinner beanies at Columbia as to Donald Trump and his hooligans. The dominant paradigm, in other words, the executioner song of the Maya Angelou sect around uh, Pramila Jayapal and Aaron Dixon and Bruce Harrell, who are the gang that are most easily within reach. I am the most easily in reach of. It's an unarmed citizen and senior citizen of a community college. Is the old story of the concentration camp guard who was told that bullets were becoming short. So the bullet in his gun was worth more than the Jew. Please refrain from shooting the Jew. And of course, the people in Seattle were more generous than this concentration camp guard. They prefer to shoot the Jew, which they have done. They've tortured me. And they talk your way out of it, dog eyes me at every turn. That's the paradigm that comes from the executioner song of both wings of the Civil Gazette, the fourth estate that has become the fourth dimension. So what I want to talk about is some of the underlying themes of the philosophy that get the cognoscente glean, because I happen to agree that a lot of it is failure on the part of the riffraff in the fourth dimension. I mean, the fourth estate. They know that their audience are stupidos. They don't need to hear that Gramsci meant more than murdering senior faculty at the University of Pittsburgh to implant parochials beloved to the Black Panthers from the extreme white right wing who agree on certain precepts about Ivy League pussy ball secret war games mongered by John Stockwell and Brian Richmond. So you have a situation of very clear cut bias towards the prey on the part of all sides is concerned. And they say I elevate myself because they call me JC. Now, the right wing intelligence system has some very well read people, and they screen the limitations of the psychic grasp of the spinner bees. So they know, for example, that the people who espouse Ayn Rand for the bully wing of Roger Waters' British executive don't really care what Ayn Rand said. They want the stereotype and the prejudice that mentioning of her evokes. So that you have various legions of robot yes master coming out when they hear the name Ayn Rand. Alexander Dugin talks about this. He says Russia is constantly being othered. You have to think of Russia as the excludable principle. And so a thoughtful Russian means a demon. They're diabolical by position of their orientation in the map of gossip lines. Another person who clearly gets used for con artistry is I don't know enough about Dugan to say I'm defending him per se. I know that he doesn't go with Foucault all the way. But Foucault is one of these people who created a conceptual framework for the necropolitics that come out of Africa as ancestor revenge attacks wearing swastikas. Another person who's really very interesting in these kinds of dialogues is Buckminster Fuller, because he talked about turnings. When it comes to Western philosophy, you're supposed to be all embracing of all things. But the truth is, we tune some things out. For example, when somebody mentions something good about Adolf Hitler, we tune them out, quite rightly. So, when you have a situation where you're tuning this in, tuning that out, and you're talking about Africa, you tune in to things like Makerere University in Uganda, the schools of people combating climate change and the debt colonialism that Africa faces. And then you tune out the people who are spinner beanies from the earlier French occupation, who now monger necropolitics from Cameroon in the name of Michael Foucault. Why would you do that? Why would you tune that out? Because it's promulgating mass murder. I'll give you an example of one of the problems. It's a showcase for Donald Trumpism in Africa. Rwanda, after the brutal genocide, is now downright upright. So we're supposed to say, well, the ends justifies the means. It's an old story. And I think an intelligent person tunes it out, because what you want to do is save lives as scrupulously as you possibly can. Now, this is where UW Dialectical have billionaire trannies, survivalist trannies, who jump down from the woods with shields and burning spears from the Black Panther sets of Hollywood Marvel Comics. And they say, you're trying to make a penny off your own hard work. You must think that Ayn Rand is righteous. How can you believe that when your mind has been subsumed into the larger structure of Greg Carl, Greg Starr-Cynic, Ringo Starr, Penis Gabriel, and Peter Sinfield, who slyly slipped you a walrus memorandum when they kidnapped and tortured and deafened you as a white who thinks he's special. Well, you see, that's a brick wall of gossip. And it comes down to this Seattle faithful idea that the bullet is worth more than a Jew. Trying to talk me into not shooting a queer ball. Trying to talk your way out of a queer ball. And it comes from the white McCarthyites at the University of Pittsburgh and Westmoreland County, like Mel Gibson and Bill Mazeroski. Say my father was playing all big, and they got out the roster of Vienna Circle pranks to impinge on the persona's experience. Like, see this painting, the Herrenringer. They waste no time in telling me that's going to be worth licky chops to somebody, so that they can cover that they've been black marketing Sotheby's pornography of me since they got Michael Reagan's favorite scene on film when I was sleeping at 9 years old. Michael Reagan's favorite scene was caught on Sotheby's films when I was sleeping at 9 years old. And that's what DeSantis is selling. He wants everybody not only to know, but they want Al Gore to say publicly, "Sock it to me," because that's what they're doing. They're variations on the old skeleton with the candelabra at its penis that Joseph Goebbels created, called the Eternal Jew. And it was very generous of Goebbels not to melt the candelabra down for bullets. In fact, Joseph Goebbels is so generous to the McCarthyites of the Vandal Circle prank show around John Schulman and Penis Gabriel in the tri-state area. Flame Over Africa, you know who I'm talking about. That gang around Don Ostra who said international terrorism will take the place of human rights over Brian Eno loudspeaker. International terrorism will take the place of human rights at the Three Rivers Arts Festival. Yes, they did. Donald did. You know who this gang is. One of their pranks was that Joseph Goebbels was so generous that the Spinner Beanies decided that he represented the Jewish Defense League. And Robert Fripp can prove it by showing V equals R. That doesn't stand for victory and revenge. That stands for virginity is rape. Oh, and the Swami Nostra come out of the woodwork. They can feel you. Did you ever hear that expression? I feel you. And the necropoliticians subpoena Gabriel's African real world for French occupation, reoccupation of Algeria and Vietnam. Say, we can feel you. We can feel you. And they murder Susie Kennedy because they could feel you. And this comes out of Jaime Carbonell's office as one of the perpetrators of this. He's a purposeful mistranslation expert. So Pitt comes in and says, ha, shell game, and purposefully mistranslates the entire situation. The Fernhola Bridge collapse, and Brecker runs off to Nepal with who knows what in his cabinet from Schulman Incorporated. And they have licky chops porno going for the NAACP taxi drivers. And they play a shell game, mistranslating the whole situation. Who says, no, you don't have the right to say? Who says, yeah, everything you say is true, but it's not factual. Everything you say is factual, but it's not true. Ask the Fernhola Bridge gang, man. And behind the scenes, the Vienna Circle is playing with their Dali mustache and their Zappa goatee and saying, we have the secret enzyme because we have encountered the great minds and know what you don't know. So get out there and sell bumper stickers for both sides for us and clean your noodle good, because otherwise you could face the Grim Reaper like your papa.